let's begin. I just want to go back to Saturday and just give you some of my thoughts on the game. You know, first and foremost, I think we're 23-2 at home, and the expectation is, success at home in particular. It's Tiger Stadium, and our guys love playing in it, and the atmosphere at kickoff was amazing. I'm not sure that it carried that way the whole 4 quarters, but it is what it is. We're going to play football no matter what. But what I loved about our team is their grit. It wasn't a perfect game for us. We made some mistakes, but we overcame that. And if you really watch the film, we competed. We had guys running, flying around, playing physical. One of the top quarterbacks in the league felt us. I just really liked the way we competed. Now, our attention to detail has to be better. Our focus on certain things have to be much better. But I really like the fact that compete, that mindset was there for our football team. Other things that really stood out after you watch film is that we ran off the ball for the first time with the offensive line. We got off the ball. Now, we got to sustain, and sustainability is will and want to, and we got to get more of that. I thought we did a great job in protecting our quarterback. No sacks against one of the elite pass rushers in Stewart in the league. He is an outstanding athlete, and I was proud of our guys in keeping our quarterback clean. So some of the real foundational principles of being successful are in place. Some of the things that allow you to extend games and get away from your opponent, they're not in place. 73-yard run, yet we bottle up the run the whole game, but we're not in the right place when we should be, and we know that. So that's attention to detail. That's staying focused. Offensively, the turnovers, those are details that have to be cleaned up. Our tough territory coming out, we've got to be much better. We've got to set up field position with first downs in those tough territory areas. We have not been good enough there. We've put our defense in shorter fields because we haven't been able to, get first downs needed in when the ball is backed up. And, of course, in our blue zone, 5-yard going in, 10-yard going in, that clearly has to be much better. So we know the areas that we need to improve on. They're all very much within our grasp of doing so. But we're going to have to do it over this next stretch. We're going to have to go on the road against Vanderbilt, who's a disciplined, well-coached, fundamentally sound football team, and do a great job in the running game. And so we're going to have to be better, quite frankly, in all the areas that I mentioned. But the foundational principles are exciting for me that I'm seeing, and now we've got to build off of those. So that's a little bit about the game itself. We know what we're getting. Clark Lee, obviously, coached with me. He's an outstanding coach. He's a great communicator. He's process-driven, and you can see that in the way their football team plays. So it'll be a great challenge going on the road. 11 a.m. start. We'll get them up early and get them rolling. But they're number 2 in the SEC in points scored. They're rushing top in the country. And so we know where it starts with Pavia at quarterback, an outstanding quarterback. He's the point guard and makes it happen. Really impressed with Alexander's growth from last year to this year as a runner. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. Eli Stowers he's up there with, we're prejudiced because of our tight ends, but, he is a top tight end in the country. And again, I mentioned their defense. Hurd leads the team in tackles. Great safety play. Their edge player, Capers, has got 4.5 sacks. So we know, again, the foundational principles of their team is based upon, a strong process and believing in what they do, and they do it. So it'll be a great challenge for our football team. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Coach, this week was probably the best you guys have run the ball all year. Were there any real adjustments or schematic adjustments that we noticed that you guys were a lot more under center with your run game this week?
Yeah, I think it's just been an evolution. I think it starts with getting off the ball. I think it starts with, aiming points for our offensive line. A lot of the things that take time to come together, is starting to come to fruition. And so the run game, as I said, has got to be central to our overall offensive efficiency, but it's got to show itself in other areas as well. So we've got some work to do.
Coach, with Garrett and the decision-making, is it a case of he's a fifth-year senior, he knows better, he's been coached this many times, or how much coaching do you still give him on some of these decisions and the mistakes he's making without paralyzing him through
Yeah,
thought?
it's a fair question, Jacques. I think we're trying to balance this. He plays with a swagger, and he's better with a swagger, right? Don't know that he had that the previous weeks. Thought he was a little bit robotic. And we said, listen, you needed to be Garrett Nussmeier. And he was. Unfortunately, some of that comes with some mistakes. I think that that's an aberration, the mistake that was in the red zone, and something that he would immediately say, I should have had my eyes on that safety, because that's my read. But I like the version of Garrett Nussmeier we saw. He was a lot more confident. He was a lot more active in the pocket. He had an opportunity to run a couple of times. That's the version we want. We want to clean up those what I would call uncharacteristic mistakes.
What happened with Bernard Gooden, and can you give us an update there?
Collarbone, bruised collarbone. Very sore right now, but clean, no break. So this is a short-time thing, and one he'll have to manage the pain relative to how we go through the week.
Right. I'm sure through your career you've had guys like Diego Pavia who kind of elevate everyone else around them.
Yeah.
As the opposing coach, how do you coach your team to prepare for that guy who's going to bring out the best in his team?
Make him one-dimensional. I think that those dual-threat quarterbacks, if they can do both, you're in trouble. So we've got to really do a great job in the running game. And not to say that he can't throw the ball, because he can. They average over 200 yards throwing the football, and he's capable. But I think if you're trying to choose one or the other, he's going to kill you if he runs. So we're going to take the path that we need to be really good against the run, and then put them in predictable situations. They're the best in the country in third down because they're in third and short most of the time. So we've got to get them, off schedule. First down is really crucial for us. If we can get them again in second and third situations that are a little bit longer, we can be more predictive relative to the balance between run and pass.
And with Jamari Butler, what's the status of him? And
He has an ankle, lateral though. It's not high ankle. And I would say that he's probable if we were to put out a report. We got good news on that as well. I think we got good news on all of the injuries that we had. I'll give you a quick rundown so we can get through it. Aaron Anderson looked good. We'll continue to progress with him. Caden Durham had, a hip pointer, which was mild, but one that affected him a little bit. He'll be fine. Braylon Moore had a stinger, but under control. We took an MRI. It looked good. Paul Mabanger is making progress. We expect him to be available this week. And Nussmeier had a slight ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain, but a medial, and we feel like he's going to be fine. So those are the top guys. We talked about Gooden with the collarbone, Jamari with the ankle, and then Whit Weeks is just from his injury, he's sore. But that's our entire injury report.
And then with Dylan Carpenter having to take more snaps, how do you think he fared?
Yeah, he was solid. Dylan is a solid player. He's reliable and trustworthy, and he's going to do his job. He may not flash the way some of the other guys do, but we put him on the field because we trust him.
Coach, you were able to hold Sellers to 19 yards on 22 carries. How important was that, whether it be schematically for the defense or just from a confidence standpoint going into the next two games with guys like Pavia and Marcel Reed?
Yeah, certainly, we knew that he was the guy that we had to center on. I think if there's only one thing that we would like to be better at is we've got to keep them in the pocket. These quarterbacks that get outside on us create havoc in the back end of our defense. So a little bit better there, but we were really solid in terms of stopping him from running. His longest run was a quarterback draw. And it was the second and long situation that caught up. But I was really pleased with the overall effort.
Ryan, obviously going into the game, the questions were, how's Garrett going to throw the ball? Can you run the ball? You did those things well. you had the issues in the red zone, but
Yeah.
do you feel those are more fixable
Those are correctable.
than the other ones that are more?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I think the question is, one that I present myself with every Sunday when I come back in, like, what are the issues here that we can fix and are really fixable, that you don't see them again, or you don't see them pop up again to the point where they can cost you a game? The foundational principles of getting off the ball, playing great run defense, attacking the ball in the air, pushing the ball down the field were in place. Now, let's be a better version of that as we continue to move forward.
I think historically, people credit you for having great line play and tight end development, right? So kind of what you were saying earlier about seeing some of these tenets evolve in your offensive line. Do you feel like those foundational pieces are there, and it is that refinement and that steady improvement week to week?
Yeah, we're at the point now where we can talk about sustaining blocks, which is simply a determination and a want to and a will. And we got to get to that, because if we sustain 1 or 2 blocks, well, we had 6 runs of 15 yards or more. That's a really good start. We could have had 3 or 4 that were of 50 or more. And we just need to sustain. I couldn't get to sustaining blocks if I couldn't get off the ball. Now we're getting off the ball. Now we got to sustain blocks. We got to hold on to those blocks. It can't just be contact and that's it, because those guys are folding back in and making plays. So we're at a next stage if we continue to do what we're doing, which puts us in a really good place.
Brian, I know of at least one team, but there was a team last year that went to Nashville and lost, and they were a big favorite. Like, do you guys talk about that at all?
No, we have a respect for Vanderbilt. You just watch the film. They're so disciplined. They do the things the right way. They're a hard football team. They're a mature football team. This is a mature team. They've got 5th and 6th year and 7th, 8th, 9th. I don't know. They've been forever. But they are well coached and disciplined. And so you know what you're going to get in the SEC when you play a team of that caliber. And their record now has spoken for themselves. So you don't have to go in and, hey, this is what you got to be worried about Vanderbilt. No, they know what Vanderbilt's done. They've got work. They have a resume. Now, it's not a long resume, but it's a real resume with the same players. So that's why we don't need to get into those kind of, hey, remember what they did to Alabama. We just needed to look at last year's game. We won 28-21, and it was hard fought.
You gave Caden Durham 15 carries. Is there a positive thing in a running game when you give a guy 15 carries, he warms up, as opposed to 3 and 4 carries over 5 guys?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you can get a guy into the rhythm of the game and know that he's seeing it really well, that's an advantage. There's no doubt. If it's 3 here, 4 there, you're trying to find something, right? We weren't trying to find something. We knew what we had with counter. We knew what we had with split zone. We knew what we had with the runs. It was going to be about, can you break a couple tackles? I think the thing that Caden wants to do is not get wrapped up by the ankles. He's got to run through some tackles. And he knows that, but he plays the game the right way for us, and that's why he got the carries.
I think most people have been waiting for that performance from Trey'Dez Green for a while now. Just going back and looking at the film and looking at the way you guys used him in that game, just what kind of performance could that maybe lead to in the future for him? How he's going to be involved?
It should be a regular occurrence, and I don't want to set him up for failure at all, because you still got to protect, you still got to run it, you still got to throw it, you still got to catch it. But he will be featured in the offense accordingly. And now, what does that do? Is it maybe cause more tension to him? If it does, then other people will be open that are really dynamic within this offense. We've got to get Barry and Brown going. We've got to find him more. He's a dynamic player. We just threw a spot route to him, and he got 7 yards after the catch. So he's a guy that we've got to feature. You got Xavion that's got to get involved. Aaron Anderson's coming back. Kyle Parker's not too bad. So you can imagine, what we're trying to do here offensively is, we want to get all these pieces into the game. And if one guy gets more attention than the other, maybe he doesn't get 9 catches, but maybe somebody else opens up the field for him. And that's what a dynamic tight end does for you.
Coach, it's 11 a.m. early start for Tiger fans going to Nashville. Any words of wisdom or motivation so they're at their best, so to speak, for game time?
For the fans, start drinking earlier. Is that what you meant? Yeah, I figured this was. Bloody Marys start at 6, get going. For us, we'll practice on Thursday and Friday, because it's midwinter break. We have Thursday and Friday off, so we'll practice at 11 a.m. We'll get the guys up, we'll have pregame meal like it is Saturday, and we'll go through that routine on Thursday and Friday, without the Bloody Marys.
Last week, you talked about, in your career, what you've considered when you've made midseason changes on the offensive line. Have you, in your staff, given any consideration to giving Josh Thompson a try at right tackle?
We did, but we're willing to live with some mistakes out at right tackle because we think his future is so bright. So when you go into that whole process of thinking about it, do you thwart his growth of what he needs to see every day? He was really good against 6 in pass protection, really good. That guy is outstanding. He's as good as I've seen. He is so quick. He's got a power move. He's got an edge move, and he did a great job. We've got to get him better in the run game. And that's where, at times, you want to put Josh out there. But we're going to live with him. And I'm proud of him. He's growing. He's learning this game. And that's a big part of this. O-line awareness, O-line instincts, some have it, some don't. Some you got to really give them reps. And that's what this is about. He needs to play.
I think we all noticed a little bit more zip on Garrett's balls down the field this past game. Is it as simple as stepping into your throws, and does that really have as much to do with trusting your protection as anything?
All of those things are part of it, but the bottom line is he was healthy. On Thursday, I mentioned to you, we have the ball that has the GPS in it, and his numbers were up from any other time during the week. His ab injury is on the right side of it, where he feels good, and he didn't feel any pain on Sunday coming in. So that's a really, really good sign for us moving forward.
With Cohen Eccles and some of the work that he was doing in the run game, how much did that really sort of help you guys the way he performed at right guard, being in there for the whole time?
Yeah, I thought he was really solid for us. He gets off the ball, he gets hands on you, and he moves you. You get a dent, and he did a really, really good job. Now, he made some mistakes, but that's going to happen because he doesn't have a huge resume of work. But I liked his effort. It was really, really solid. Our guard and center play was the best it's been all year. And it happens in the triangle. That's where it has to happen. That group right there has got to get off the ball and get you some initial movement. And that's where we were better.
Is Vandy kind of the ultimate case of what you can be in the modern era, because we know what they were in years past? Is it, there's no 12-0 teams, no 3-9 teams in this league?
Well, what's the average difference of winning this year in the SEC is like 10 points. That's the average. It was 17. So it's top to bottom in the SEC, and it's the ability to commit. You can see what they're doing at their stadium. They're committing millions of dollars into their program. It starts with an institutional commitment, then leadership, and then the ability to develop your players and putting a roster together. All those three things have hit at Vanderbilt. And quite frankly, they've hit at the same time, all of those. And so that's why you got a good football team you're playing.
With Mansour Delane, has he been even better than you guys thought he would be since coming over? Like, has he taken another whole step into his game since he's arrived here?
We thought we got the best corner in the portal, and he is playing to that level. And you hope that you've made a good decision in vetting out all of the opportunities that are there. But he has delivered. He's purposeful in his work. He is fearless in his preparation, and then plays fearless with no fear in the game because he knows he can do it. That's a great mix for a corner.
Just the teaching moment that you have to have with Juwan, I think, at the goal line there. Like, could you elaborate the conversations and the understanding?
He was a quarterback running the ball. Like, he thought he was a quarterback, where quarterbacks have this instinct of stretching out to get the ball. You're a running back. You lower your pads, 3 points of pressure on the ball, and go through. It's a teaching moment. It's a learning moment. He's a smart kid. What I loved about him is he didn't get down in the dumps. He gives us a big 56-yard run later in the game, right? He's that kind of guy. He's unflappable when it comes to making a mistake. He's going to learn from it, and he's going to come back.
And with Mansour, what was the recruiting process like with him? Were you able to talk with him at all
A
before
lot
he
of
came here?
pleases. What can we do for you? It was a one-sided conversation, quite frankly. Once we had a connection where he wanted to be here, we did everything to consummate that deal.
And what was your kind of first impression of him when you were talking with him in the portal?
Well, I loved his football IQ, and I loved why he would want to be here. He wanted to be on a platform and a stage to showcase his abilities. And he could have went in the draft. He probably would have been a third round pick, is what we had in terms of the numbers. But he wants to be a first-round pick. He wants to be the best corner in the country. He wants to be seen as such, and he knew that this would be a great platform for him.
Kind of elaborate on that corner room, I guess. Just what are you seeing in Corey's teaching? It sounds tough, but it also sounds relatable when we're around him.
There's no room for wiggle room. It's you do it this way, exactly this way, or that's there's no negotiables. They're non-negotiables, and they're things that they want to do. Like he's teaching them the things they want, and then you can't put this on top of it because it's your flair. This is how we do it. It's non-negotiable, and if you want to play, this is how you do it. And the guys have adapted easily to that kind of teaching.
It seems like at least every receiver at any point in time through the first 6 games have had a moment where they've dropped the ball. Obviously, Hilton drops the deep ball Saturday night. Just are those things that you guys just continue to hammer in? Is it like just a momentary lack of focus, or what goes into the drops?
Yeah, I think it's just confidence. He's got to build his own confidence, in that he's capable of doing. Look, he can run by anybody. I mean, so you've got that covered. Now, just have the confidence that you're going to do it. We've got confidence in him. We keep putting him out there, or we wouldn't have confidence. We've got confidence that he can do it. Now he's got to go and have the confidence in himself, and I believe he'll do that. I mean, he's a mature player. He's a smart player. He knows he's got to make those catches, but we're going to keep going to him.